Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 46 of SuperSports, the review series for Gran Turismo's selection of exotic performance cars, vehicles which oftentimes offer similar advantages and abilities to a supercar, but at the same time have more the price and oftentimes the accessibility of what would usually be considered more of a sports car. So in effect they kind of offer elements of the best of both worlds, from sports and supercars. And in this particular pick we're featuring a vehicle which definitely does that in the game. It's one of the quickest cars in this series, and beyond that is actually also one of the quickest cars on Gran Turismo overall, especially for road cars. And this car is the 2003 shape Dodge or SRT Viper SRT-10. In effect, this was the second generation Viper, the first major overhaul visually that the Viper underwent, and it's become an icon. It's a very popular car. It was unusual as far as production exotics go in that it was an open top before it became the coupe, and also to some degree, on the game at least, this is a stronger performance car than the hardtop version, which is surprising. Usually the hardtop would be quicker. It has reduced body roll due to increased rigidity of the body and chassis, but in the case of this car it really isn't better than this version. So that being said, what do you get from this car? Well, being a Viper, you get a massive engine, an 8.3 litre V10. You can supercharge that mighty engine up to 1165 horsepower, and an equally massive 1,113 foot-pounds of torque, which puts it nicely in the top 10 highest torque outputs of Gran Turismo 6. As far as weight though, it's also very good, because you'd probably expect a car which is essentially just an engine with a steering wheel to be pretty heavy. It's actually not. It only weighs 1,226 kilos, which is 4 kilos less than a Gran Turismo 6 WRC rally car. That's pretty impressive. As far as horsepower per tonne, it puts out a not too shabby 950, which is almost 1 horsepower per kilo, and as far as its overall PP, it's actually very reasonable. It does not have the option of a flat floor, and it's also not a premium model, which also helps to keep the PP a little bit lower. But even fully tuned, it's only a 656 pp car, which is very good given how powerful, how torquey, how light, and how fast it is. And speaking of fast, this car most certainly is. In fact, there is very little this side of a Huayra that can outrun it for sheer acceleration. Now, the Nismo and the Veyron can beat it for top-end performance, and various others may be able to beat it off the line, but the reason why this Viper is so strong is because it's one of those relatively few cars on the game which has incredibly strong performance throughout its entire performance range. Often cars will have excellent performance off the line, or they'll be very good mid-range, or they'll be very good for top speed. They very rarely have all three. This car does. It's quick off the line, even with wheel spin. It's phenomenal for mid-range acceleration, and for top-end performance, it's also extremely rapid, around 298 miles per hour, sometimes even more under its own power. The acceleration is incredibly quick, faster than the TVR Speed 12 on Gran Turismo 6. Then again, that isn't really saying much these days. And overall the performance is, as I said, pretty much the quickest thing this side of a Veyron, Huayra, or Nismo. It's an incredibly quick performance car. Now, one of the reasons why it's such a great car, beyond just being fast, is the value. This car was featured on my top value for money cars list, and for good reason. It only costs 85 grand. That's the kind of money that you'd expect to pay out for something like a Corvette or a GTR. And although those cars are both also extremely quick, you wouldn't really expect to get this much power and torque for that kind of low price. Especially given that some of the other Vipers cost more than that, such as the ACR, which is 100 grand, which as it happens is still very good value, but is more the kind of price that you'd expect from a car like this. 85 grand is phenomenal value for money, even if you're looking purely for straight line performance. Now, as it happens, the Viper SRT-10 and also by extension most Vipers make surprisingly good track cars. It's very easy to think of the Viper as being essentially a hot rod. It's all engine, essentially a caricature of a performance car, a Hot Wheels toy come to life. It's actually a lot more than that, and that can be seen by just how dominating a force the Viper GTSRs have been over years of racing. It's an incredible track machine. In fact, it's far faster than you would ever think it could be in road and race forms. The Viper ACR is one of the quickest cars ever around the Nürburgring Ring. As race cars, I already mentioned, they're a dominating force. And for sheer straight line performance, which is the most obvious point, they're also very good. They make some of the best street spec drag cars you can get. Hennessy, of course, became famous for making some of the quickest cars in the world based on the Viper. And on the game, it's no different. It's incredibly quick, almost untouchably quick. And if you're talking sheer bang for buck, there really is hardly anything that can keep up with this car for overall straight line performance for anywhere near that kind of money. There are one or two, notably the GTR and the Tomicara ZZ2. Apart from that, though, there is very, very little else that comes close for the price. You're looking at millions of credits to get most cars that can keep up with this, the Huayra, the Veyron, etc. So for value for money, it's almost untouchable. Overall for track performance though, handling included, this particular one isn't necessarily the kind of car that I would strongly recommend. Because although it's certainly not bad around corners, it's nowhere near as tricky as say a Stratos or a Cobra, at the same time it's not the most suited to track use. So overall, if you're looking for incredible straight line performance, especially if you're playing the game early on and you need something extremely quick, definitely check this car out. But as a track car, you may want to be wary. But that's it overall for this particular review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.